The morning sun cast a golden glow across the ancient stones of Westminster Abbey as London awakened to one of the most anticipated days in British royal history. The streets surrounding the historic cathedral buzzed with excitement as thousands of spectators gathered hours before dawn, their Union Jack flags fluttering in the gentle breeze. Television crews from around the world positioned their cameras at strategic points, while social media influencers live-streamed the growing crowds. To millions of eager viewers across the globe, inside Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere was electric with nervous energy and careful preparation. Palace staff moved through the corridors with practiced efficiency, their footsteps echoing against the marble floors as they made final arrangements for the coronation ceremony. The weight of centuries-old tradition hung in the air, mixed with the modern excitement of an event that would be watched by billions of people worldwide through their screens. Catherine stood in her private dressing room, surrounded by a team of stylists and advisors who had been working for months to perfect every detail of her appearance. The room was filled with the soft rustle of silk and the quiet murmur of last-minute adjustments. Her coronation dress, an elegant creation of ivory silk and delicate embroidery, hung nearby like a work of art waiting to come to life. The sapphire earrings that had once belonged to Princess Diana lay carefully arranged on a velvet cushion, their deep blue stones catching the morning light that streamed through the tall windows. As Catherine gazed at her reflection in the ornate mirror, her mind wandered to the significance of the day ahead. She thought about the journey that had brought her to this moment, from a young woman studying art history at university to becoming one of the most photographed people in the world. The transformation felt surreal, yet the weight of responsibility sat naturally on her shoulders. She understood that today was not just about witnessing a coronation, but about representing the modern face of the royal family to people around the world who would be watching her every move and expression. The sound of footsteps in the hallway announced William's arrival, and Catherine felt her heart skip slightly, as it always did when he entered a room. Even after years of marriage and countless public appearances together, his presence still brought her comfort and strength. William appeared in the doorway wearing his ceremonial military uniform, every medal and decoration polished to perfection. His tall frame filled the entrance as he paused to take in the sight of his wife, preparing for one of the most important days of their royal lives. William crossed the room with quiet steps, his eyes never leaving Catherine's face as she turned to greet him. The stylists and advisors seemed to sense the intimacy of the moment and quietly stepped back, giving the couple a few precious minutes of privacy before the day's overwhelming schedule would sweep them away. William's hands found Catherine's shoulders, and for a moment, they simply looked at each other in the mirror, sharing an unspoken understanding of what lay ahead. The palace photographer, who had been documenting the morning's preparations, raised his camera instinctively when he saw the couple's reflection in the mirror. The image he captured showed William and Catherine in a moment of quiet connection, their eyes meeting through the glass while the morning light created a soft halo around them both. Neither of them noticed the camera clicking, too absorbed in their own private moment of reassurance and love. Before stepping into the public eye, William's voice was soft as he spoke words of encouragement to his wife, reminding her of how proud he was of her strength and grace. Catherine smiled, feeling the familiar warmth of his support washing over her nerves. They had faced many public events together, but this coronation felt different, more significant somehow. It marked a new chapter not just for the monarchy, but for their own roles as future king and queen. The distant sound of military bands practicing their ceremonial music drifted through the palace windows, reminding them that thousands of people were already gathering along the procession route. Catherine took a deep breath and nodded to her styling team, who immediately resumed their work with renewed focus. The earrings were carefully placed, each piece of jewelry positioned with precision that would be scrutinized by cameras and fashion experts around the world. William remained close by as the final preparations continued, his presence a steadying force in the controlled chaos of the morning. He understood better than anyone the unique pressures that came with their public roles, especially during events of such historical significance. His own nerves about the day ahead seemed to fade as he focused on supporting Catherine, knowing that their partnership would be their greatest strength throughout the ceremony. As the clock on the mantelpiece chimed the hour, signaling that departure time was approaching, both William and Catherine felt the weight of anticipation settling over them. The private moment they had shared in the mirror would soon give way to the public pageantry of the coronation, but the connection they had reaffirmed would carry them through whatever challenges the day might bring. The palace staff began their final checks, ensuring that every detail was perfect for the cameras that would capture their every movement. Catherine's dress was adjusted one last time, the flowing fabric arranged to photograph beautifully from every angle. William straightened his uniform jacket and checked his ceremonial sword, the familiar weight of royal duty settling comfortably across his shoulders. Outside, the sound of the crowds was growing louder, their excitement palpable even through the thick palace walls. Television commentators were already describing the gathering spectacle to their audiences, building anticipation for the moment when the royal couple would appear for their journey to Westminster Abbey. Social media was buzzing with early morning posts from royal watchers who had camped overnight to secure the best viewing positions along the procession route. The morning light continued to stream through the palace windows, casting everything in a warm golden glow that seemed to promise a perfect day ahead. Catherine and William exchanged one final look of mutual support and understanding before the palace doors would open and their private moment would transform into a public spectacle watched by millions around the world. The ornate carriage doors swung open with a gentle creak as William stepped forward to help Catherine into the magnificent vehicle that would carry them through the streets of London. The morning air was crisp and filled with the distant sounds of cheering crowds who had been waiting for hours to catch a glimpse of the royal couple. Catherine gathered the flowing fabric of her ivory dress carefully, ensuring that every fold would photograph perfectly for the cameras that were already capturing their every movement. As they settled into the plush velvet seats of the state carriage, Catherine felt the familiar flutter of nerves that always accompanied major public appearances. The weight of her elaborate headpiece, adorned with delicate pearls and crystals, reminded her of the significance of the day ahead. William noticed her slight adjustment of the ornate piece and reached over instinctively, his fingers gently straightening the jeweled creation that had been crafted specifically for this historic occasion. The carriage began its slow journey through the palace gates, and immediately the couple was greeted by a wall of sound from the thousands of spectators lining the streets. Union Jack flags waved enthusiastically from every direction, while smartphones and cameras were held high to capture the moment. The crowds had been gathering since before dawn, some camping overnight in sleeping bags and folding chairs, all hoping for the perfect photograph or video to share with friends and family around the world. Catherine waved gracefully to the crowd, her smile genuine and warm as she acknowledged the enthusiasm of the people who had waited so long to see them. Her sapphire earrings caught the morning sunlight, creating tiny sparkles that the cameras immediately focused on. William sat beside her with natural dignity, his military uniform immaculate and his posture reflecting years of training in royal protocol. Yet there was something relaxed about his demeanor, a confidence that came from having Catherine by his side. The carriage swayed gently as it navigated the historic streets of London, each turn revealing new crowds of well-wishers. Street vendors had set up small stalls selling royal memorabilia, while news crews conducted live interviews with excited spectators. The atmosphere was festive and celebratory, with people from all walks of life united in their excitement to witness this moment in history. Children sat on their parents' shoulders, waving small flags and calling out greetings to the royal couple. As they traveled deeper into the heart of London, Catherine's headpiece shifted slightly due to the carriage's movement. The delicate construction, while beautiful, was not designed for the gentle swaying motion of their journey. William immediately noticed the displacement and without hesitation reached across to adjust the precious piece. His fingers worked carefully, ensuring that each pearl and crystal was perfectly positioned once again. The moment William's hand brushed against Catherine's cheek during the adjustment was captured by dozens of cameras positioned along the route. The gesture was so natural and caring that it seemed to happen in slow motion for the photographers, who had been waiting for exactly this kind of authentic moment. The tenderness of the action, performed without any awareness of the watching crowds, spoke volumes about their relationship and the genuine care they had for each other. Within minutes of the carriage passing, the images began appearing on social media platforms around the world. The photograph of William adjusting Catherine's headpiece, his fingers gentle against her face, was shared thousands of times before the couple had even reached Westminster Abbey. Twitter users began adding heart emojis and comments about true love, while Instagram stories featured the image with captions about relationship goals and royal romance. The crowds lining the streets seemed to sense that they had witnessed something special, their cheers growing louder as the carriage continued its journey. Royal watchers who had followed William and Catherine's relationship since their university days felt a particular warmth, seeing how naturally they continued to care for each other, even in such formal circumstances. The moment felt authentic in a way that scripted royal appearances sometimes did not. Catherine's smile widened as she felt William's protective gesture, her confidence boosting, knowing that he was watching out for her comfort, even during such a public moment. The weight of royal duty felt lighter when shared between them, and she squeezed his hand briefly in acknowledgement of his thoughtfulness. The small gesture of gratitude was hidden from the cameras, but meant everything to both of them. As they approached Westminster Abbey, the density of the crowds increased dramatically. Police barriers held back thousands of spectators, while military personnel stood at attention along the route. The ancient cathedral loomed ahead, its Gothic spires reaching toward the cloudy sky. Television helicopters circled overhead, providing aerial views of the procession to news networks around the world. The carriage slowed as it neared the abbey, allowing the crowds more time to see the royal couple and take photographs. Catherine and William continued waving to the enthusiastic spectators, their natural warmth and connection to the people evident in every gesture. The genuine joy on their faces as they acknowledged the crowd's enthusiasm was infectious, spreading through the gathered masses like ripples in a pond. Royal commentators, providing live coverage of the event, immediately picked up on the tender moment between William and Catherine. They described the gesture as emblematic of the modern royal marriage, showing how the couple supported each other through the demands of public life. The commentary highlighted how this natural display of affection humanized the royal family in a way that formal portraits and speeches could never achieve. The images of the carriage ride were already being analyzed by body language experts and relationship counselors who praised the couple's obvious comfort with each other. Social media influencers began creating content about the moment, with some recreating the gentle gesture in their own relationships. The hashtag Royal Carriage Ride began trending as people shared their favorite photographs and videos from the procession. As the carriage finally came to a stop at Westminster Abbey, William prepared to step down first so he could assist Catherine with her elaborate dress. The moment of the headpiece adjustment had become the defining image of their journey, symbolizing not just their personal relationship, but the evolution of the monarchy toward a more relatable and human institution. The crowd's enthusiasm reached a crescendo as the couple prepared to enter the abbey for the coronation ceremony. The morning's carriage ride had already provided them with enough memorable moments to last a lifetime, but the most significant parts of the day were still ahead. The tenderness they had shown each other during the public journey had set the tone for what would become one of the most emotionally resonant royal events in recent memory. the great doors of Westminster Abbey stood open before them, ready to welcome the royal couple into the next chapter of this historic day. The gentle moment of care during their carriage ride had already captured hearts around the world, proving that sometimes the most powerful royal gestures are the simplest ones. The massive wooden doors of Westminster Abbey opened slowly, revealing the breathtaking interior that had witnessed countless royal ceremonies throughout the centuries. Golden light streamed through the ancient stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns across the stone floor where kings and queens had walked for over 1,000 years. The abbey was filled with distinguished guests from around the world, their formal attire creating a sea of elegant colors beneath the soaring Gothic arches. William and Catherine stepped through the entrance together, their footsteps echoing softly against the worn stones that had been polished by centuries of royal processions. The weight of history seemed to surround them as they walked down the long aisle, passing rows of seated dignitaries, world leaders, and members of the royal family. Catherine's ivory dress flowed gracefully behind her, while William's military uniform gleamed under the abbey's magnificent chandeliers. The ceremony began with ancient traditions that had remained unchanged for generations, each ritual performed with the same solemnity that had marked royal coronations throughout British history. As King Charles took his place at the altar, William and Catherine were seated in positions of honor, where they could witness every moment of their family patriarch's historic ascension to the throne. The atmosphere was thick with reverence and the understanding that they were participating in something truly extraordinary. Catherine felt tears beginning to form in her eyes as she watched the Archbishop of Canterbury begin the sacred ceremony. The magnitude of the moment overwhelmed her as she thought about the long journey that had brought the royal family to this point. Years of preparation, tradition, and duty had culminated in this single day that would be remembered for generations to come. She tried to maintain her composure, knowing that cameras were capturing every emotion that crossed her face. As the ceremony progressed through its ancient stages, Catherine found herself unable to hold back the tears that had been building throughout the morning. The emotional weight of witnessing such a significant moment in British history, combined with her deep affection for King Charles as a father figure, proved too powerful to contain. She discreetly reached into her small clutch purse to retrieve a delicate handkerchief, dabbing gently at her eyes while trying to maintain the dignity expected of her position. William noticed his wife's emotional response immediately, his attention divided between the ceremony taking place at the altar and his concern for Catherine's well-being. He had seen her cry tears of joy at their own wedding, at the births of their children, and during other meaningful family moments, but her tears during the coronation felt different somehow. They spoke to the depth of her connection to the royal family and her understanding of the historical significance of what they were witnessing together. Throughout the ceremony, William and Catherine communicated through subtle glances and small gestures that spoke volumes about their partnership. When the music swelled during particularly moving moments, William would catch Catherine's eye and offer a small smile of reassurance. When the ceremony reached its most solemn points, Catherine would rest her hand briefly on William's arm, drawing strength from his steady presence beside her. The cameras positioned throughout the abbey captured every nuance of their emotional responses, but William and Catherine seemed unaware of the intense scrutiny. Their focus remained entirely on the ceremony and on supporting each other through this monumentally important day. The authenticity of their emotions resonated with viewers around the world who were watching the live broadcast, many of whom found themselves moved to tears by the couple's genuine reactions. 7-year-old Princess Charlotte sat between her parents, her young face serious as she tried to understand the importance of what was happening around her. During one particularly quiet moment in the ceremony, she leaned over to whisper something in her mother's ear. Whatever the little princess said caused both Catherine and William to smile genuinely, their faces lighting up with parental joy. Despite the formal setting, The moment when Charlotte made her parents smile became an instant favorite among viewers watching from home. Social media immediately buzzed with speculation about what the young princess might have whispered, with many people commenting on how the family's natural warmth shone through even during such a formal occasion. The image of the three of them sharing a private moment of happiness during the coronation captured hearts around the world. As King Charles received the crown and took his oath, the emotional intensity in the Abbey reached its peak. William sat straighter in his seat, visibly moved by watching his father accept the ultimate responsibility of the monarchy. His eyes glistened with unshed tears as he witnessed the moment he had been preparing for his entire life. Knowing that one day he would stand in that same position, Catherine reached over and placed her hand gently on William's, offering him the same support and comfort that he had been providing her throughout the ceremony. The gesture was small but significant, showing their mutual understanding of the emotional weight they were both carrying. Their fingers intertwined briefly, a moment of connection that grounded them both during the overwhelming ceremony. Archbishop's voice rang through the Abbey as he pronounced the final words of the coronation, officially crowning King Charles as the new monarch. The congregation rose as one, their voices joining in the traditional cry of recognition that had echoed through these same walls for centuries. William and Catherine stood with obvious emotion, their faces reflecting the pride and love they felt for the new king. As the ceremony concluded and the recessional began, William and Catherine prepared to follow the newly crowned king out of the Abbey. Their emotional journey through the coronation had been captured by cameras and witnessed by millions, but for them, it had been an intensely personal experience of family, duty, and love. The tears Catherine had shed and the moments of connection they had shared spoke to their genuine investment in the monarchy and their deep respect for the traditions they were helping to preserve. The great organ began to play as the royal family processed out of Westminster Abbey, their footsteps marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. William and Catherine walked together, their faces still showing traces of the emotions they had experienced during the ceremony. The weight of what they had witnessed would stay with them long after the formal celebrations ended, the crowds waiting outside the Abbey erupted in cheers as the newly crowned king emerged, followed by William and Catherine, who were still processing the emotional intensity of what they had just experienced. The ceremony had transformed them all, not just through its ancient rituals, but through the genuine human emotions they had allowed themselves to feel and share with the world. As they prepared for the next phase of the day's celebrations, William and Catherine carried with them the memory of the sacred moments they had witnessed together. Their emotional responses during the coronation had created some of the most powerful and authentic royal moments in recent history, proving that even ancient ceremonies could be deeply personal and moving experiences. The golden afternoon sun cast long shadows across the cobblestones as the royal procession emerged from Westminster Abbey following the historic coronation ceremony. The newly crowned King Charles led the way, his ceremonial robes flowing majestically as he walked toward the waiting state carriage. Behind him, William and Catherine followed with their children, their faces still glowing with the emotional intensity of witnessing such a momentous occasion in British royal history. The crowds that had gathered along the processional route had grown even larger during the ceremony, with thousands more people joining the celebration as news of the successful coronation spread throughout London. Street parties had spontaneously formed in nearby neighborhoods, with families setting up tables and chairs on sidewalks to share in the national celebration. The atmosphere was electric with joy and patriotic pride as people prepared to welcome their new king back to Buckingham Palace. As the royal family approached their carriages for the return journey, the London sky began to show signs of an approaching summer shower. Dark clouds had been gathering on the horizon throughout the ceremony, but palace officials had hoped the weather would hold until the procession was safely completed. The first few drops of rain began to fall just as Catherine was preparing to step into her carriage, the droplets catching the afternoon light like tiny diamonds. Palace staff immediately sprang into action as the rain began to intensify, rushing forward with large black umbrellas to protect the royal family from the unexpected downpour. The protocol for such situations had been rehearsed many times, but the reality of managing elaborate ceremonial dress and priceless jewels in the rain proved more challenging than anticipated. Catherine's delicate headpiece and flowing ivory gown were particularly vulnerable to the moisture that was beginning to fall more steadily. William reacted instantly when he saw the first raindrops hitting Catherine's face, stepping forward to shield her with his own body before any of the palace staff could reach them. His protective instincts took over completely, and he positioned himself between Catherine and the rain clouds, using his height and broad shoulders to create a natural barrier against the weather. The gesture was so immediate and instinctive that it happened before anyone could offer them proper rain protection. The image of William protecting Catherine from the rain was captured by dozens of photographers who had been positioned along the route specifically to document the royal family's departure from the abbey. The sight of the future king prioritizing his wife's comfort over royal protocol created a powerful visual that would soon spread across social media platforms around the world. His uniform was quickly becoming spotted with raindrops, but his focus remained entirely on keeping Catherine dry and comfortable. Catherine looked up at William with obvious gratitude and affection, her eyes sparkling with emotion as she realized what he was doing. The rain was beginning to fall more heavily now, but she felt completely protected under his improvised shelter. The moment felt intimate and private despite the hundreds of people watching and photographing their every move. Her hand found his arm, squeezing gently in acknowledgement of his thoughtfulness and care. Palace staff finally reached them with proper umbrellas, but William continued to maintain his protective position, even as the official rain protection was offered. He accepted an umbrella from a nearby aide, but held it primarily over Catherine, ensuring that she remained dry while his own uniform absorbed the moisture from the summer shower. The contrast between his formal military decorations and his tender protective behavior created a striking image that photographers continued to capture. The rain shower intensified as they made their way to the state carriage, with William keeping one arm around Catherine's shoulders to guide her safely through the downpour. Her elaborate dress required careful maneuvering to prevent it from becoming soaked, and William helped lift the flowing fabric to keep it clear of the puddles that were beginning to form on the ancient stones. His attention to these details showed a level of care and consideration that went far beyond basic courtesy. As they finally reached the carriage, William helped Catherine step up into the vehicle, his hands steady and supportive as she managed her voluminous skirts and delicate headpiece. The rain was drumming against the carriage roof now, but inside they were safe and dry thanks to his quick thinking and protective actions. Catherine settled into her seat and looked back at William with a smile that conveyed both relief and deep appreciation for his instinctive care. The carriage began its journey back to Buckingham Palace through streets that were now slick with rain, but the crowds remained enthusiastic despite the weather. Many spectators had brought their own umbrellas and raincoats, prepared for the unpredictable nature of British summer weather. The sight of William protecting Catherine from the rain had actually endeared the royal couple even more to the watching crowds, who appreciated seeing such genuine care between husband and wife. Social media exploded with images and videos of William shielding Catherine from the rain, with users sharing the photographs alongside comments about true love and partnership. The hashtag #ProtectiveWilliam began trending within minutes, as people around the world responded to the authentic display of husbandly care they had witnessed. Relationship experts and royal commentators praised the moment as an example of how the modern monarchy was evolving to show more human emotion and genuine connection. The rain continued to fall as their carriage made its way through the streets of London, But inside the vehicle, William and Catherine were warm and dry, sharing quiet conversation about the extraordinary day they had experienced together. The shower had actually provided them with a moment of unscripted authenticity that would be remembered long after the formal ceremony details were forgotten. Their natural response to the unexpected weather had revealed the strength of their partnership in a way that no planned photo opportunity could have achieved. As they approached Buckingham Palace, the rain began to ease, leaving the streets glistening with moisture that reflected the afternoon light. The crowds that had gathered outside the palace were even larger than those at Westminster Abbey, with thousands of people waiting to see the royal family appear on the famous balcony for the traditional post-coronation celebration. The wet pavement sparkled like diamonds as the carriage wheels rolled over the cobblestones toward the palace gates. William helped Catherine down from the carriage once they reached the safety of the palace courtyard, his protective behavior continuing even though they were no longer exposed to the elements. The rain had stopped completely now, but his attentiveness to her comfort and well-being remained constant. The staff who had witnessed his protective actions during the shower looked on with obvious approval and respect for the future king's devotion to his wife. The summer rain shower had provided an unexpected test of their partnership, and William and Catherine had passed with flying colors. Their natural response to the challenging weather had created one of the most memorable and touching moments of the entire coronation day. The image of William protecting Catherine from the rain would become iconic, representing not just their personal relationship, but the evolution of the monarchy toward more authentic and relatable leadership. The digital revolution that followed the coronation began within moments of the ceremony's conclusion, as millions of people around the world reached for their phones and computers to share what they had witnessed. The images of William and Catherine's tender moments throughout the day spread across social media platforms like wildfire, creating a global conversation about love, partnership, and the modern royal family that would continue for months to come. Twitter became the epicenter of the emotional response, with users sharing screenshots from the live broadcast alongside heartfelt comments about the genuine affection they had observed between the royal couple. The photograph of William adjusting Catherine's headpiece in the carriage had been retweeted over 50,000 times within the first hour after it was posted. People from every continent added their own captions and interpretations, with many describing the moment as proof that fairy tale love could exist in real life. Instagram influencers and lifestyle bloggers quickly created compilation posts featuring their favorite moments from the coronation, with William and Catherine's interactions dominating every collection. The image of William protecting Catherine from the rain became the most liked royal photograph in the platform's history, surpassing even their official wedding portraits. Young couples began recreating the protective gesture in their own photos, turning it into a viral trend that spread across multiple social media platforms. TikTok users created countless videos analyzing the body language and facial expressions that William and Catherine had displayed throughout the day. Relationship experts and psychology students broke down each gesture and glance, explaining to their followers how these small moments revealed the strength of a truly supportive partnership. The hashtag Royal Coronation Love accumulated over 200 million views as creators shared their interpretations of the couple's most touching interactions. YouTube channels dedicated to royal coverage saw unprecedented engagement as content creators uploaded detailed analyses of the coronation footage. Professional lip readers were brought in to interpret the private conversations that William and Catherine had shared during quiet moments in the ceremony. Body language specialists created hour-long videos examining every protective gesture and supportive touch, with millions of viewers hanging on every word of their expert commentary. Facebook groups dedicated to royal watching experienced explosive growth as new members joined to discuss the emotional impact of what they had witnessed. Longtime royal enthusiasts found themselves sharing the groups with newcomers who had been drawn in by the authentic displays of affection they had seen during the coronation. Comment threads stretched for hundreds of responses as people shared their own stories of supportive relationships inspired by William and Catherine's example. The global media response was equally intense, with newspapers and television networks around the world leading their coverage with stories about the couple's heartwarming behavior during the historic ceremony. Fashion magazines that had initially planned to focus on Catherine's dress and jewelry found themselves dedicating equal space to analyzing the emotional significance of the day's most touching moments. The rain protection incident became front page news in countries across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Professional photographers who had covered the event began selling their images to publications worldwide, with the most intimate and emotional shots commanding premium prices. Gallery owners expressed interest in displaying the coronation photographs as fine art, recognizing that certain images had transcended mere documentation to become iconic representations of modern love and partnership. The photograph of William and Catherine's reflection in the palace mirror became particularly sought after by collectors and museums. Relationship counselors and marriage therapists found themselves inundated with requests for interviews as news outlets sought expert opinions on what the royal couple's behavior revealed about healthy partnerships. Many professionals praised the way William and Catherine had supported each other through the stress and emotion of such a significant public event. Their natural instincts to protect and comfort each other became teaching examples in courses about communication and emotional support in relationships. The impact extended beyond social media and traditional news coverage into popular culture and consumer behavior. Jewelry stores reported increased interest in sapphire earrings similar to those Catherine had worn, while fashion retailers saw surges in demand for ivory-colored dresses and military-inspired menswear. Wedding planners noted that engaged couples were specifically requesting elements that would recreate the romantic atmosphere they had observed during the coronation. Book publishers quickly commissioned authors to write about the coronation day, with particular emphasis on the love story that had captured global attention. Publishers recognized that readers were hungry for more details about the private moments and genuine emotions they had glimpsed during the public ceremony. Romance novelists began incorporating similar scenes into their fictional works, understanding that readers were drawn to authentic displays of caring and protection. The coronation footage became the subject of academic study as communications. Professors analyzed how authentic emotion could create deeper connections between public figures and their audiences. Universities began using the day's events as case studies in courses about public relations, media studies, and social psychology. Students wrote dissertations examining how genuine human moments could humanize institutions and create lasting, positive impressions. Television networks around the world created special documentary programs examining the cultural impact of the coronation, with particular focus on how William and Catherine's behavior had redefined public expectations of royal relationships. These programs featured interviews with royal historians, relationship experts, and social media analysts who explored why certain moments had resonated so powerfully with global audiences. The emotional legacy of the coronation day continued to influence public perception of the royal family for months afterward. Opinion polls showed significant increases in positive feelings toward the monarchy, with respondents specifically citing the authentic emotions and genuine partnership they had witnessed between William and Catherine. The couple's approval ratings reached historic highs as people around the world expressed admiration for their obvious love and mutual support. Young people who had previously shown little interest in royal affairs found themselves following William and Catherine's activities more closely after witnessing their heartfelt interactions during the coronation. Social media engagement with official royal accounts increased dramatically, with followers eager to see more glimpses of the authentic relationship they had observed during the historic ceremony. The coronation had succeeded in its primary purpose of celebrating the new king, but the lasting impact came from the unexpected, emotional authenticity that William and Catherine had brought to the ancient ceremony. Their natural responses to the day's challenges and their instinctive care for each other had created a new template for royal behavior, one that balanced respect for tradition with genuine human connection. The photographs and videos from that day became treasured memories for millions of people around the world who had watched the ceremony unfold. The images represented more than just a historical event. They captured a moment when love and partnership had shone through the formality of royal protocol to touch hearts across every continent. The global conversation that began with the coronation continued to evolve and grow, proving that sometimes the most powerful moments in history are also the most human ones. William and Catherine had unknowingly created a new chapter in the story of the modern monarchy, one written not in ancient protocols, but in authentic emotion and genuine care for each other.